Hello there, everyone, and welcome to the Brianna Christine Podcast, a podcast for designers by designers, where we talk about how designers can remain strong in pursuing their passion. I'm your host, Brianna Christine Gibson, and today I interview Katie Limburg, who is a mom and a designer who works from home. We talk about how she balances her work life with her home life. And my favorite part of the interview is when we talk about her and her friend's amazing effort to raise almost $900 for cataract surgery for impoverished people in India. That's what I love about hosting this show. It's just talking to everyday designers, just like me and you, about what they do and how they keep their lives interesting so that they can remain passionate. So let's dive right in. I know you're going to love this interview with Katie Limburg. Hey everyone, I have Katie Limburg here with me today on the Brianna Christine Podcast. Hey Katie, thanks for joining us.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Katie, could you tell us what company that you work for?
Yeah, sure. So I work for the Louis Berger Group. It's a multidisciplinary international consulting firm. It's based in Morristown, New Jersey. And I used to work for one of the big offices in Washington, D.C. I work for a division within the company called Services, and they focus on operations and maintenance and power.
Okay, cool. How did you find that job in Washington, D.C.?
That's an interesting question. I graduated from college in 2008 when the economy was really bad. And, I thought I can stay in Ohio or I can, try and go somewhere else. I moved to Baltimore and I had a once a week unpaid internship with a local magazine there. And I made a connection through that internship, which led me to an interview with Louis Berger.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
I know you moved here to San Diego with your husband. How did you meet your husband?
We met in college. He was in architecture and I was in graphic design, and we had, friends in common. And I did like a thematic sequence in environmental design. So I was taking a lot of architecture classes and we just got to know each other that way.
Oh, cool. So how do you like being married to another creative person?
We butt heads sometimes, but for the most part, it's really nice. Because we understand each other and we understand like how our minds work.
That's cool.
And we can do some fun things together, which is great.
Okay, so how did you guys decide to move out to San Diego? That was his job, right?
Yeah. So he finished grad school and I was about 6 months pregnant, and so he was just applying to whatever he could in San Diego, and we packed up and we drove across the country. That's how we got here. It was cool because we actually took the southern route and we stopped and saw friends and family along the way, did a little sightseeing, and even got to stay in like kind of a fancy resort in Arizona on a whim.
Oh, wow.
So it was like a little vacation before jumping into the workforce here in San Diego.
Super fun.
Which is nice. Yeah, it was a good adventure.
Yeah, our road trip wasn't as cool coming down from LA. Tell me what it's like to work from home in your current work.
So it can be challenging at times. I have to very clearly define my space and my time because I literally have a desk in our living room. So, if everybody's home and they're doing their thing, I just have to let them know that, I'm on work time and I can talk to you when I'm done, and I just put my headphones in and kind of just plug in.
Okay, so your headphones are kind of like the symbol of I'm working right now.
Yeah, absolutely. But I also have to I have to take lots of breaks and I have to have lots of patience, but it's good because, it gives you a chance to get away from your desk and not just be literally hunched over your computer all day. I wake up and I work a good chunk of the morning, and then my daughter wakes up and I put everything away and I have breakfast with her, and then her nanny comes and I get back to it, and then I have another break around lunch, and then I work through nap time, and then I get dinner ready, and if I have more work that I have to do, I wait until after Nora goes to bed.
Wow, so you're working kind of all day sometimes.
Yep. Sometimes I have to continue working from like 8 p.m. until midnight if we have like a huge project going on.
Okay, so it's if you have a tight deadline or something like that.
Yeah, which happens sometimes, but not all the time. Usually I'm done by like 3 or 4 in the afternoon, and I can just put everything away for the day.
That must be nice.
Yeah, it is.
So you feel nice. Like it's pretty balanced, your family and work time, or do you feel like it's not?
It is. It is balanced. I think we've found our groove and been able to just define certain times for work and play. So yeah, for the most part, it's really good.
Do you feel like this job is going to be a long-term solution while you're here, or are you looking to do something else?
It's been really great, and it's been a really great transition back into the workforce. Having a baby and everything, it totally shakes your life up. But I don't think it's going to be forever. Now that I'm starting to like network again and like get back into the community, maybe in San Diego, I am going to start looking for something else.
Okay, so you said there was a transition period. What was the transition period?
I started coming back to work. I contacted my old boss and came back to work just working like 4 hours a week, which doesn't sound like a lot, but it was for me at the time, just having a newborn baby.
Sure.
And, just trying to understand what life is like again. And she was about 3 months old when I came back. And then, working my way up to 10 hours a week, and then, 15, 20. And then we finally got to a point where it was like, okay, I'm a part-time employee and I'm working more than 30 hours a week, So then we decided to go ahead and make me a full-time employee again, which is really nice.
Okay, wow. So it was a pretty smooth transition, it sounds like.
Yeah, and it was nice because, the first year of Nora's life, I was able to, still be at home, be with her, and not miss out on all those, like, big first moments, like their first steps. And...
Cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't have any kids yet, but I know I want to in the future, so I hope I can find a situation similar to yours. What would you suggest, or what is your opinion on working from home for someone like me that is wanting it to be in a similar situation?
I think it's a good goal to have, and it's a good thing to do when your kids are young. I think you have to build those connections, that business network, and build those relationships with your clients or with the people you work with in order to get there. But once people trust you, I think they have a better or an easier time just sort of like letting go a little bit and letting you be able to work from home. There might be a way to sort of like set yourself up and be very confident and reach out to people and say that I can offer you, these services, and I can do it remotely, and you don't have to pay for space for me to be in your office. And that might work as well. But I think it's just having that confidence or having those strong relationships with people in order to be able to work from home.
That's an interesting idea. I never thought about it like that. You don't have to pay for me to be in your space.
Yeah.
I might try that one.
Yeah, there's always a good way to spin it, right?
Right. Yeah, I was just I went to a print shop the other day with these two guys I met from Brand Diego Awards with SDX, and they were telling me that some of the clients that they have are looking for designers that have low overhead, so it's good to be a single designer. I was like, all right, but I never thought that being a single designer means low overhead, and having no job actually means you have more time to dedicate to the client. Selling points.
That's very true.
Cool. So how has your education helped you get the job you have now, or how do you feel like it's going to help you get another job when you move on?
Sure. So I went to a liberal arts school in small town Oxford, Ohio. I think it really helped to get that liberal arts education. Like when I was looking at schools, I think I really wanted to go to just like an all arts school. My parents really pushed me to go to a school where like I would still have those basic requirements of math and science and English. And I think it helped me to keep that perspective and keep my education experience broad instead of honing in on like one little thing. And I think that that has helped me understand the business side of the world a little better, so that I can have a seat at the table when we talk about the direction our company's going, or like what our goals are for the year, and actually be able to understand them a little bit better instead of having that like narrow-minded like artist viewpoint. If that makes sense.
Totally makes sense. I also went to a liberal arts college, and I just felt like there were so many good things that I got from it that I would have never got if I went to something like the Art Institute.
Yeah, exactly.
And I love listening to Debbie Millman's podcast, Design Matters. And I heard that one of the designers say one time that they wish they went to a liberal arts college, or maybe majored in anything other than design. I can't remember who said this anymore. I've listened to like every show. But they said they wish they hadn't majored in design, because you have to know so much about the world in order to be a good designer.
Yeah, I think that's a really interesting perspective. I just recently, this is kind of random, but I just recently downloaded this app to get random facts every twice a day. And I think it just like helps spark your mind.
No, that's so true. It's like, did you ever drink Snapple, like, and read the Snapple facts on the bottom of the cup? I used to love those.
I used to love that too. I think it's super important to keep your mind fresh, and to reach out and find different inspiration in different parts of the world. And taking classes in like environmental sciences, it just like blew my mind. Or like I took a class in Indian philosophy, and just like understanding the world from a different perspective, I think is really important.
Totally. That sounds like it would have been a really cool class to take.
Yeah, it really was.
In your class of graphic designers, like we called it a cohort at Cal State San Bernardino. Do you still keep contact with anyone that you went to school with from that group?
I do. From the graphic design community, it's maybe a little bit more limited. I only had like 18 kids in my class, because at Miami you had to first try out and get into the studio art program, and then you had to apply after your first year to get into the graphic design program. So it was kind of a small group. But yeah, I absolutely keep in touch with people, through social media, obviously. But I have a group of girlfriends that all majored in some form of art, and we all get together, at least once a year. All of them were in my wedding, actually.
Oh, wow, cool.
Yeah. I think it's really important to keep in touch with those people. And, not everybody stays in design, but it's interesting to see like what sort of path everyone.
Yeah. Do you feel like a lot of your friends did stay on the design path?
No. Two of my really good friends that also majored in graphic design, I think because of the time, because the economy was so bad in 2008. They went off and did different things. Like my friend Carrie was a very talented graphic designer, but she liked doing it as like personal art more than for a company. So she went back to school for nursing.
Oh wow, that's a big change.
Totally different career. And I think just a couple of my friends just really struggled to find work in design, so they did other things. But I do know a couple people from my graduating class that went on to, work for major companies like brand and advertising agencies in like the Chicago area.
Okay, that sounds cool.
Yeah.
Do you feel like for the friends that stuck with it, was it their passion that kept them going, or was it just like they didn't want to start over like your other friends?
I think absolutely the passion is like a big driver. You can tell who really, who's really passionate about graphic design, like in classes, and who's like the top of the class and always doing something innovative. And those people do really fine and go on to do great things.
Yeah, I'm thinking of people in my head right now, people I knew in class like that.
Yeah, right? Like they got it, and like they had a strong network. They understood companies early on, in a way that I don't think I did at first, and like how to network a little bit more, but like also like how to see the company as a whole when you're creating a product. And they, paid attention to every detail, and everything they did was like impeccable, really well crafted, and just things I just wouldn't think to do. My craft was always not so great. But, it's something you learn. And it's definitely like, I don't mean to say like sink or swim, but if you don't have that passion, I don't think you're going to like be successful in your career. You really got to have that spark.
Yeah, I agree. I know that some of us become designers so that we can do what we love. How do you feel about what you do?
I really enjoyed what Dane had to say during the lecture last week. He was saying that, he's an illustrator, but he's bringing to life other people's ideas.
Yeah.
So he's not an artist. And I think that's true with any graphic designer. I think it's, we're doing this for work. That's like why we chose graphic design as opposed to like being a painter. You're doing it to make money, but you do have to have that certain level of passion in order to be successful in doing it. So I definitely love what I do, and I try to find projects within the company that keep me excited. But I think it's also important to be able to have, your own hobbies and like your things that you're excited about on the side. For example, I like to illustrate and to paint in my spare time.
That's cool. Like what style do you paint in? Do you have a style?
I like watercolor, and I like pen and ink. So I try to, find time on the weekends or, in the evenings to do things like that. I also think it's really important to do like volunteer work, volunteering your services to companies, small companies or nonprofits. And I think that's like another way to like, be passionate about that nonprofit or that company that you're helping out, and to find excitement in a way that you might not find in your everyday work.
Yeah,
if that makes sense.
It totally makes sense. I'm just loving everything you're saying, so I'm just letting you go.
One of my good friends, Julia, she just recently went back to school for optometry, and this summer she traveled to India to assist with cataract surgeries for people in impoverished neighborhoods, and she needed to raise a certain amount of money for the trip. So in my spare time, I, did paintings and illustrations, and like we just like got together on a Saturday and like drank beers and like made art.
Cool.
And then we threw a party in her backyard, and we invited all of our friends, and we sold our art, and we raised like, I think it was like between $700 and $900 just in that evening.
Wow.
And it's just like to find a way to get excited about something, and also to do like design for good, like helping others out, and just to find your passion.
That sounds so fun. I want to do something like that. If you ever do something like that again, I will be there.
Yeah, I'll definitely let you know. And when I lived in DC, it was a little bit more connected. I did some volunteer work for a letterpress studio, and I did some graphic design work for events for a local farm. So just, like there's different places you can reach out to. Like I might even try and do some volunteer work with Creative Mornings. I didn't realize they needed volunteers. But I think that's a good way to connect with other designers and also do like a fun project. Like if you got to work on that wall with Jane Daner, like
yeah,
that would have been really cool.
Yeah, that would have been cool. Yeah. So what project of all these really cool projects that you're telling me about, which one are you the most proud of in your design career?
think about that for a minute. You know, like work-wise, you know, I have some cool experience that I have to draw from, but I think the projects that I'm most excited about are those like volunteer experiences that I was telling you about, because I think that it's really cool to take what you do and take your services that you can provide and do something good. But as far as like work goes, you know, when I started at Louis Berger, I was just working in like a little marketing department, and I had the opportunity to start our first communications department with a couple other people, and I wrote their identity manual. I worked with some other designers and brought them all together in the company. We started a design council, which we still have, because nobody in the company was talking. And, you know, I recognized that we had inconsistency in our brand. So, you know, I worked with my boss and the president of our company to write our identity manual and to bring together a 3,000 person international firm under one cohesive brand. So that's a big project that I'm certainly proud of. I got to make an invitation for the opening of the Spy Museum's exhibit, 50 Years of James Bond Villains.
Oh,
And
cool.
we hosted the party for this opening at the British Embassy in DC. And the invitation went out to, you know, very important people that are associated with the British Embassy. And we even sent it to people that work for EM Productions, which is the company that produced all of the James Bond movies.
Wow, that is such a cool
yeah.
project.
Yeah, it was. It was a really cool project. And the best part was that I actually got to go to a print studio and like with an unlimited budget and like do like foil embossing and just like, you know, like look at all these samples and be like, okay, you know,
Yeah,
like roll my
graphic
sleeves.
designer
I'm
play
going to have
day.
fun with this. Yeah, exactly. So those are probably like my most exciting experiences. But I think that even despite all of those, like I still, you know, warms my heart to work on projects where I'm working more with like on a local scale or like taking my skills to help a bigger community. If that makes sense.
Yeah. All right. I have one other question here. What advice do you have for designers and other creatives that would like to work from home or would like to have their own business?
Okay. So I think it's just really important to continue to get out there. You know, like if you're working from home and you're comfortable and, you know, you don't feel like you need to do anything else, you still need to get out there and network and, you know, take classes, continue to hone your skills, and find ways to exercise your creative skill. It's really important not to get stagnant and become, as I say, a designosaur.
That's so good.
Yeah, you don't want to be a dinosaur. You gotta stay current. And even just going to events and seeing other people and seeing their work and what they're doing, I think that really helps to just like keep your mind fresh. Another important thing is to have patience with your client because you're working remotely. Like you can't, like I use my hands to describe everything. Like I'm using my hands right now. You can't see. I think it's really important to stay patient and to stay humble and build good relationships with them and, you know, stay flexible and just like know when to pick your battles and when to just like let it go. Because I think working remotely, you do have a bigger problem with people just being more stubborn or like not trusting you. And you just have to be very patient with them and continue to stay happy and perky and just try and like work through any issue you might have.
That is great advice. Thank you. I think we could all use that.
Yeah, I think so too. I think it's so easy to just get into like, I need this by 6 p.m. and not be like, how was your day? Like, what are you up to?
Right.
I just think it's good to continue to have normal conversations, even though you're kind of a robot at your desk.
Yeah, sometimes you feel like more of a technician than a creative.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, Katie, well, thank you so much for coming on the show with me today. It was super fun
absolutely.
listening to all of your amazing experiences, and I hope I can have you on the show again sometime.
Yeah, well, thank you again for having me. I really appreciate the opportunity.
All right, I hope you enjoyed that interview with Katie Limburg. If you would like to connect with Katie online, you can go to her Behance profile at behance.net/CMYKate. I just love that. And you can also find her on Instagram at klimburg. You can let me know how you like this podcast by subscribing on SoundCloud, and you can also find me on social media on Facebook. I have my own page called Brianna Christine Designs, and you can find me on Instagram at Brianna Christine Designs. All right, I hope you have a great week. See you next time.